Most people believe that becoming wealthy is all about earning more money, finding the perfect investment, or discovering some secret financial strategy. But the truth is that your mindset around money often has a much greater impact on your future than your income ever will. That's why two people can earn exactly the same salary, live in the same city, and have similar opportunities. Yet 20 years later, one has built financial freedom, while the other is still living paycheck to paycheck despite working just as hard. The reason is simple. Money isn't only about mathematics, it's about psychology. Because every financial decision you make is influenced by your emotions, beliefs, habits, fears, and experiences long before logic ever enters the picture. Unfortunately, schools teach us how to solve equations, memorize history, and pass exams, but almost no one teaches us why people overspend, why they avoid investing, why they stay trapped in debt, or why emotions quietly control their financial lives. One of the biggest psychological mistakes people make is believing that more money automatically creates happiness, because while earning enough to meet your basic needs certainly improves your quality of life, constantly chasing more income rarely creates lasting satisfaction. The problem is something psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, where every financial upgrade quickly becomes your new normal, causing the excitement of a bigger house, a luxury car, or a higher salary to disappear much faster than you expected. What once felt like a dream eventually becomes an ordinary part of your life, leaving you searching for the next purchase, the next raise, or the next lifestyle upgrade in the hope that it will finally make you feel successful. This endless cycle is exactly why many high-income earners remain financially stressed despite making more money than they ever imagined, because their expectations continue growing just as quickly as their income. Another powerful psychological trap is comparing yourself to other people, because humans naturally measure success relative to those around them instead of appreciating how far they've already come. Social media has made this problem even worse by exposing us to carefully edited highlights of other people's lives, making it appear as though everyone else is buying luxury homes, driving expensive cars, and living perfect financial lives. What those photos rarely show are the loans, credit card balances, financial stress, and sacrifices hidden behind the scenes, causing millions of people to spend money they don't have in an attempt to keep up with lifestyles that often aren't even real. One of the most dangerous financial emotions is fear, because fear convinces people not to invest during market crashes, not to start businesses because they might fail, and not to take smart financial risks that could completely change their future. Ironically, the same people who fear investing often have no problem spending thousands of dollars on items that immediately lose value, proving that emotion often influences financial decisions far more than logic does. Another common psychological mistake is believing that future versions of ourselves will somehow be better with money than we are today, leading people to postpone saving, investing, or paying off debt because they assume they'll be more disciplined next month or next year. The reality is that financial success rarely comes from one life-changing decision. It comes from hundreds of small decisions repeated consistently over many years until they become automatic habits. That's why wealthy people focus less on motivation and more on creating systems, because motivation disappears quickly, but good habits continue working long after the excitement fades. Another fascinating lesson about money psychology is understanding that people often value visible wealth more than actual wealth, spending enormous amounts on luxury items simply because other people can see them, while ignoring investments that quietly grow in the background. Real wealth is usually invisible because it's found in investment accounts, businesses, retirement funds, and assets that don't attract attention, while fake wealth is often displayed through expensive possessions financed with years of debt. The people who truly achieve financial freedom understand that money isn't meant to impress strangers, it's meant to create security, opportunities, and the freedom to make choices without constantly worrying about the next paycheck. Another psychological principle that separates wealthy people from everyone else is delayed gratification, which is simply the ability to give up a small reward today in exchange for a much larger reward in the future. Most people struggle with this because our brains naturally prefer immediate pleasure over long-term benefits, making it far easier to buy a new phone today than invest that same money for the next 20 years. The wealthy understand that every financial decision has an opportunity cost, meaning every dollar spent on something unnecessary is a dollar that can no longer be invested, compounded, or used to create future income. Another powerful lesson is that people rarely lose money because they lack intelligence. They lose money because they lose control of their emotions, allowing fear and greed to make decisions that logic never would. During bull markets, greed convinces people that prices will rise forever, causing them to invest recklessly without understanding the risks, while during market crashes, fear convinces those same people to sell at the worst possible moment. Successful investors understand that emotions come and go, but disciplined strategies remain effective regardless of what the headlines or social media are saying on any particular day. Another financial habit rooted in psychology is spending money to impress people who aren't paying attention, because many purchases are motivated less by personal happiness and more by the desire for approval from others. The truth is that most people are too busy thinking about their own lives to spend much time judging yours. Yet countless individuals sacrifice years of financial progress trying to maintain an image that provides only temporary satisfaction. One of the most valuable mindset shifts you can make is seeing money as a tool instead of a goal. Because money itself doesn't create happiness, it creates options, flexibility, security, and the freedom to make decisions based on what truly matters to you. When you stop chasing money simply to appear successful, and start using it intentionally to build the life you actually want, your financial decisions become much clearer and far less emotional. Another lesson no one teaches is that luck always plays a role in financial success, but so does discipline, patience, and preparation, because while you can't control every opportunity that comes your way, you can control how prepared you are when those opportunities finally appear. The wealthiest people rarely assume every success was entirely their own achievement, and they also don't believe every setback means they'll never recover, because they understand that life always includes both fortunate breaks and unexpected challenges. This balanced mindset helps them remain confident during difficult times without becoming overconfident during successful ones, allowing them to make smarter decisions regardless of changing circumstances. Perhaps the greatest psychological secret about money is understanding that enough is different for everyone, because people who never define what enough looks like often spend their entire lives chasing more without ever feeling satisfied. Real financial success isn't reaching a certain number in your bank account, it's reaching a point where your money supports the life you truly want instead of forcing you into decisions driven by stress, comparison, or fear. Imagine waking up every morning knowing your financial choices are guided by your values instead of your emotions. Your investments continue growing regardless of temporary market noise, and your happiness no longer depends on constantly buying more things. That kind of financial peace doesn't come from luck or a massive salary. It comes from mastering the psychology behind every decision you make with money and building habits that support your future instead of sabotaging it. Remember, wealth is built first in the mind and only later in the bank account. Because the way you think about money ultimately determines the way you use it, protect it, and grow it throughout your life. If you found today's video valuable, don't forget to subscribe, and turn on notifications, because every week we share practical financial strategies and powerful mindset lessons that help ordinary people build extraordinary financial futures, one smart decision at a time.